guys, what is up? It's Kat here. Thank you so much for coming back and joining me today. Hope you guys are doing so well as always. So today's video is a couple days overdue. I wanted to finally sit down and share my thoughts and reactions with you guys to the Mandalorian season premiere. I would have liked to get this out sooner, of course, but hopefully by now everyone who has access to Disney Plus has been able to watch the episode, as I will be sharing some spoilers. But unlike other reactions or review videos, I'm not going to dive too much into Easter eggs or that kind of stuff. There's already hundreds of videos about all that, and that's all already been shared, and there's nothing new that I can bring to that table. But I'm more so going to talk about why, honestly, truthfully, I seriously believe that this season 2 opener here was probably the best episode of the entirety of The Mandalorian as a series, even contending with some of the final episodes of season 1. So that's what I want to talk more about, because truly this episode just like blew me away in every way possible and exceeded my expectations. I was, granted, already incredibly excited going into the show. Not that I doubted the season opener for a second, but I was not expecting them to just whip out the big guns right out of the gate. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it. So I discussed this in my review of Mandalorian season 1 and how the marketing and advertising for this first season didn't really reveal like anything regarding the plot. Baby Yoda, one of the biggest plot points, was kept a major secret. There was nothing we could go off of in terms of the storyline or the plot or what the show was even going to be about. And with the advertising that they did reveal, I had no idea. Like, I couldn't even formulate a guess as to what I thought the plot was going to be like. Within the first 5 to 10 minutes of season 2 episode 1 here, we're pretty much right back where we started from, similarly to season 1, because they revealed everything that they had shown in the trailers and teasers leading up to season 2. Pretty much the meat of all of those trailers happened within the first 10 minutes of the episode. They really showed us like nothing, and what they did show us was over and done with pretty much within the first 10 minutes of the episode. As you guys know, I liked that about season 1, and at least going into season 2, we have more of a grasp on the overarching plot, which is of course reuniting Baby Yoda with the Jedi, or trying to reunite him with his kind. But yeah, pretty much other than that, we are once again right back in the same position of having no idea what the course of events is going to be like between now and then. You guys know I'm a sucker for a good soundtrack, and I was immediately drawn to this new and improved soundtrack that just sounded like edgier. Not that the former season 1 soundtrack was at all bad. It was of course like perfect, and it had the perfect vibes for the show. But these edgy vibes, man! If you watched my Mandalorian season 1 review, you know that one of my favorite moments of the show is when they show the flashback of young Din being rescued by the Mandalorians after his home planet is attacked, and as the Mandalorian lifts open the gate to rescue him, that epic electric guitar starts playing. That scene gets me every single time because of that music. It is so edgy and new, and I feel like the electric guitar is just not an instrument that you would immediately think of when you're imagining a Star Wars soundtrack. But the way they introduce it into this show, so great! And there were hints of that exact same vibe with the electric guitar within the first 5 minutes after the Mandalorian breaks out into the brawl with the squad at the fighting arena. That whole arena setting scene with all the characters and aliens and the world building, that totally just emanated OG Star Wars vibes for me. Within the first 2 minutes of the show, we're getting those good classic just Star Wars vibes. And I truly apologize for my excessive usage of the word vibes in this, but I don't know what else you want to call it. The tone, the mood, the feels, the essence, the aura, I don't know. Any of the above. For lack of a better word, the vibes of this episode just screamed like original trilogy, just good old classic Star Wars to me, and that is one of the reasons that I just loved this episode so much. It was just the perfect continuation, jumping right back in, continuing with the nuance of season 1 and that good classic just country western feel that makes The Mandalorian like an especially cool show to watch. And going back to Tatooine, of course, always just strikes up that good old Star Wars nostalgia for me, with its connotations to both, of course, the original trilogy and the prequels, so I was really excited about that. Now, the biggest reason I'm obsessed with this episode is because this one truly just felt like a mini movie, and that is exactly how I had wanted this show to feel since I learned that we were getting a Star Wars live action show to begin with. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in my season 1 review of The Mandalorian, but the 25-ish minute episodes just didn't feel like enough for me. A lot of those shorter episodes just don't have the potential to have that same feel, like you're watching a Star Wars movie almost. I say that knowing that production for this show is like insanely expensive and probably incredibly challenging and time consuming and demands a lot of technology, a lot of CG, a lot of cast and crew. The production for this show is pretty much unlike any other show that doesn't take place in the Star Wars universe, so I know that asking for a season full of 8 episodes of 50 minutes apiece is a lot to ask for, but that being said, the longer episodes are just so much better. This 50-minute episode, it just felt so much more epic and has more potential to explore more aspects of the plot. You have more wiggle room to dive into more of the backstory of, example, Cobb Vanth. The whole segment there of him describing the order of events that leads to him becoming the Marshal. You wouldn't be able to really squeeze that in or have as much wiggle room to dive as in-depth as we were able to see if this episode was only 25 minutes long. And when you do give us that backstory and that little piece of his history and build his character to show his development, it creates a character that like we actually are excited to watch and excited to see him in this episode and curious and hopeful to see more of him down the line in the rest of the season. And that's one of the, I think, to me, benefits of having a longer episode, because you have more options and more potential and just more time to go into other topics, dive into a new character's backstory, explain a little more of the history that makes them more exciting to watch when you introduce them. Truly though, after this episode was over, I immediately just thought like, is that my favorite episode of Mandalorian I've ever watched? I questioned like, is this just me having some bias because I'm just so incredibly excited for this season? You know, is this just me being overly excited and dramatic about being hype about season 2? And there's obviously something to be said about, you know, the excitement of watching season 1 of a new show, not having any developed relationship or relatability or investment in the characters because it's all still being developed, of course, versus, you know, the familiarity and the excitement that comes with watching the second season when everything is more developed, you're already familiar with everything, and you can just jump right back into the plot and you don't have to build up the story anymore, and you can just go right in back to Tatooine, fighting off the Krayt Dragon. I love that the Tusken Raiders weren't actually like featured part of this show and not just like relegated to the background as like, you know, the brief cameo in which they just like wreak havoc and terrorize everyone. I really enjoyed seeing more of a up close and like intimate look at them in which they're not just the bad guys that everyone's afraid of. I really thought that was incredibly cool, and that is exactly one of the reasons I was excited about a live action Star Wars show to begin with, taking place in this time period in which it does. You can explore more like background characters or background plot points that just don't get the same amount of screen time in the actual movies. And the Tusken Raiders riding into Mos Pelgo with the music that they played, I think that was just chills. Like, that scene, incredible cinematography, incredibly shot, incredibly well done. That scene I think is maybe one of my favorite moments in like all of Star Wars. However brief it is, it just felt very Star Wars-y, but it was also very like new, and it had that cool like desert vibes music that kind of gave me flashback to Rogue One on like their sandy planets and that like desert music, because like desert music is a genre now, I guess. But at the same time, this episode also like gave me Game of Thrones vibes. Like, there was just so much happening that just kept giving me like flashbacks to like other shows or like other Star Wars like movies or moments. Like, I don't know, maybe it's the fact that they were on like a sandy desert planet and there was a dragon. I don't know. I think the most important thing to note though is that this episode had the perfect amount of Easter eggs while still being exciting as its own individual piece of Star Wars. There's like a moving truck outside. Never mind, it's the garbage truck. Alright, apologies about the garbage truck that's like blasting noise outside my window. We're just gonna move on with it. But anyway, season 1 was so good on its own that this show moving forward doesn't have to rely on, you know, the specialness and the excitement and the rumors of these Easter eggs and these cameos and the, you know, rumored return of characters like Boba Fett and Ahsoka and Bo-Katan and all that stuff. As exciting as that all is, The Mandalorian as a show is its own thing that doesn't have to rely or depend on those rumors to get me excited and to stand on its own 2 feet and to be its own individual, unique piece of Star Wars. We don't have to rely on these, you know, rumored characters to make their appearances, because even if they do or don't, which I mean, I'm so glad that it's officially official that Boba Fett is back, but regardless, I'm still invested in the current Mando characters and in the new characters that they introduce, like Moff Gideon and Grief Karga and now Cobb Vanth. Like, the Mandalorian characters and its individual storyline can stand on its own 2 feet without needing to be hoisted up by these rumored cameos and, you know, the reappearances of older and more historic characters to carry the show on their shoulders. But with that being said, all of the rumored cameos and the appearances that we hopefully get to see along with Boba Fett do make it just that much more exciting and entwined with the grander history of Star Wars. It's so true, like, Star Wars is just back when this show is on, and with this past first episode, it truly is just, it felt so Star Wars. I don't know how else to say that, but as a Star Wars fans, you guys like know what I'm saying, right? Like the feeling of just watching it and just immediately being transported, and just that feeling that you get that it's like, this is part of something. This is actually part of the Star Wars universe, and it doesn't have to try. It doesn't even have to try that hard. It's like it comes just naturally to Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and truly this season, I think, is going to exceed the awesomeness that was season 1. I think my rating still stands that this is probably my favorite episode of Mandalorian that we've seen so far, and I am beyond excited for what's gonna happen with season 2 now that it's, you know, we've got the Boba Fett coming back. There's so much potential there and opportunity of, you know, his connections to the Clone Wars and the past, and his relationship with, you know, the Jedi, and how that's gonna come into the picture, and what his relationship is going to be with the Mandalorian and stuff like that. Overall, this was such an ambitious episode. From the location, the cinematography, the computer graphics, the technology. Is it just me, or like was even the cinematography felt more like stepped up than season 1? Like, it just felt like watching a Star Wars movie to me. And it's an episode like this that truly makes me realize how much we take modern day Star Wars for granted, and how truly lucky we are to be able to be getting new Star Wars material in this day and age when they have access to all of this technology and just the computer graphics and the CGI and just the abilities that they have to shoot the way they can to make it look like they're in these locations and just make it feel like it's in the Star Wars universe. This episode was honestly more exciting to me and just even more amazing than I went into it thinking it was going to be. And I think that is going to set the tone for the rest of this season. I hope that we get more of these longer episodes because they truly can just do so much more with them. Of course, I was excited going into this episode. I don't want to like hype it up to the point where it sounds like I wasn't like expecting much. But truly I was not expecting them to whip out the big guns for this one. And to have that Boba Fett cameo at the end, which I did not see coming really, kind of hinted at it, of course, with, you know, Cobb Vanth wearing Boba's armor and, you know, being on Tatooine, but I truly wasn't expecting them to actually reveal one of the big major rumored cameos this soon in this season. I was going into this prepared to like not see any of the rumored characters for like the next like 4 episodes. So to see him pop in there right at the end of the season opener, oh, and it physically hurts to have to wait another week now. Oh, I just can't. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Again, sorry that I don't like dive into Easter eggs or that kind of stuff. I just wanted to talk more about why I thought that this episode was way more epic than any of the episodes in season 1 and why it truly felt like my favorite episode of The Mandalorian so far. Again, I stand by that. As exciting as some of the episodes were towards the season 1 finale, this just, to me, it just, again, it could come down to the fact that it just completely and totally emanated the pure classic, just Star Wars energy. Just that OG good Star Wars vibes. Okay, I'm gonna end this before I say the word vibes one more time because you guys are probably sick of hearing it. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Do you think I'm being overly dramatic, claiming this to be like the best episode of Mandalorian ever so far? Let me know what your thoughts were on the episode, and let me know if you'd want to see me do more of these review videos with each episode. I don't know, I felt really compelled to make one after this just spectacular season opener that I was not expecting to be so good, but I just had to sit down and share my thoughts about it. But let me know if you would like me to carry on with this and these kinds of little review follow-up videos. Sorry that there was like a garbage truck like slamming glass in the background of half of this video. I hope you couldn't hear that. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys are doing so well, as always. Sorry that I didn't get this video out like right away during the weekend after the episode aired. Alrighty guys, hope you are having a great week so far. And thank you so much for watching today. It means so much to me. I hope you guys are doing so well. As always, hope you had a fun and safe Halloween. And yeah, I will see you guys again may the force be with you! May the force be with you guys always, and I will see you guys again very soon. Bye.